No, I think what right-wing commentators like yourself are very good at.
I'm not right-wing. Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Hold on,
Mike.
You and I are not in the same wing, Piers.
I'm not a right-wing commentator. I'm not.
Listen.
I'm not. I literally ran a left-wing newspaper in Britain for 10 years.
And elevating it and trying to make it
I'm
seem
not
like
right-wing, mate. I'm a centrist.
During his most recent U.S. politics panel, self-professed nonpartisan journalist Piers Morgan became palpably triggered when a liberal guest called Morgan out for his pro-Trump, pro-MAGA sycophancy, and then proceeded to demolish the pro-Trump, pro-MAGA talking points of Piers and his conservative guests. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video, and we might actually do multiple videos about this because there really is a lot to unpack. But first, I want to focus on Mike Nellis, who is actually a Democratic strategist I've never heard of before, but he was apparently a strategist for Vice President Kamala Harris and an advisor to her campaign. And this is a genuinely impressive appearance on Piers Morgan because he's well-versed on the facts, he's an excellent debater, he's not shy at all, and he doesn't give a shit who he's talking to. He will steamroll these people and their bad faith talking points. And I can't wait for you to see, rather, how triggered Piers Morgan gets. But we're going to start with the first clip first.
Harris advisor and white dude for Harris. Well, welcome to all of you. Let me start with you, Mike. You must have had a pretty rough few months.
Nope.
Really?
It is what it is.
Come on, Mike.
I lost an election. I mean, I understand that the conservatives on here are having a good time being boastful about it, but what I actually care about is getting stuff done to help people. And look, Donald Trump got elected. He promised to get grocery prices down on day one. Grocery prices aren't down. So if you're asking me if I'm having a bad time, no, I'm not. I think the American people are having a bad time because Donald Trump made a lot of big promises that he's not meeting right now. He's doing a lot of stuff that, right-wing influencers online love, but he's not doing anything to get grocery prices down, make housing more affordable, help people retire with dignity, and that's what I actually care about.
If he's not doing a good time and the American people don't like it, why has he got record polling of approval?
Well, listen, Donald Trump's going through his honeymoon right now, and that makes sense. I think a lot of Americans are giving him the benefit of the doubt, and he's doing some stuff that they like, I think particularly on the border. But look, when he did his first TV interview after he won the election, he said, I was elected to get grocery prices down, and he hasn't done a single thing on grocery prices. Grocery prices are higher now. He hasn't done a single thing on eggs as the bird flu spreads to cows and chickens all across this country. It's a bit of a mess. And if you look at that same polling you were touting earlier, yeah, Donald Trump's got a 53% approval rating. You're acting like it's an 80% approval rating, like he's Chairman Mao, but he's not. He's got a narrow positive approval rating right now, which is good. But 2/3 of Americans are saying that he's not doing enough to lower grocery prices, and that's what he was elected to do. So he's making a critical mistake, and maybe it's not catching up to him in the first couple of weeks, but it's going to catch up to him as the American people start to feel that pain.
So that's excellent. Okay, again, that is a masterclass performance. I like the fact that he's well-versed on the poll that Piers is citing. He's cherry-picking polls, by the way, because Piers could have referred to the Pew Research poll and recent YouGov polls that have Trump's approval rating underwater, but instead he's hyper-focusing on this most recent YouGov poll, which has a 53% approval rating. Now, if you aggregate Trump's approval rating, I think it has him at about 50%, but it's also worth noting that Donald Trump at this point in his presidency is still the second least popular president in modern American history, and the most least popular president in modern American history is Donald Trump term one. Even President Biden had a much higher approval rating than Donald Trump at this point in his presidency. And again, by that logic, Trump and Obama and others are much more competent than, Obama and Biden are much more competent than Trump, and Piers Morgan would never accept that. And it's also worth noting that, again, 66% of the people polled in that same poll say that Trump is not focusing on lowering the cost of eggs and groceries. So again, good points by Mike Nellis. We're going to play another clip here.
From basically calling him Hitler, the Democrats and liberals, to
I never called him Hitler.
To putting all your hang on, I'm not saying you did.
Mouth.
I'm not saying you did. I'm saying that as a group, the Democrats and liberals have for years called him Hitler, a fascist, etc., and you're now reduced. I say this respectfully. You're now reduced to your Trump bashing being around all your eggs in one basket.
So again, this is so funny. Well, it was Trump who set the standard for this, Piers. It was Trump who made the promise to cut grocery and gas prices on day one, including egg prices. He's failed. So we're holding Trump to his own standard that he set for himself, and quite frankly, the standard that Republicans and Piers would hold a Democratic president to. So don't blame us because we're just beating you on your own standard. You just want Trump and Republicans to be graded on a curve, and Mike Nellis says no.
No, I think what right-wing commentators like yourself are very good at.
I'm not
is taking the
right-wing.
fringe left.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hold on,
Mike,
you and I are not in the same wing, Pierce.
I'm not a
I love you, but we're
right-wing
not the same wing.
commentator.
Hold
I'm
on,
not.
listen.
I'm not. I literally ran a left-wing newspaper in Britain for 10 years.
And elevating it and trying to make it
I'm
seem
not
like the rest of
right-wing,
us.
mate. I'm a centrist.
There's no
I'm a
bigger
guy.
person in the Democratic Party
I'm a guy that
In
finds.
fact, the only person in American politics that ever called Donald Trump Hitler is J.D. Vance. So come on.
But that's not true.
So again, before we get into this, see how triggered Piers Morgan gets about, oh, I'm not right-wing. You are. I'm sorry, but you are. It's interesting because I have debates with people about this all the time. I'm thinking of a couple of reply guys in my Twitter and YouTube comments in particular who tell me, oh, I'm not right-wing, I'm not Trump, but you overwhelmingly praise Trump and you overwhelmingly criticize Democrats. Yeah, but that's just, that's because my focus is elsewhere. I'm not MAGA and you have to defer to what I say. Well, no, if your actions aren't congruent with your stated values, then it's perfectly fair for me to say you actually don't follow your values. It would be like saying, I'm a Republican, right? But then I actually endorse every Democratic policy, right? Well, if that's the case, I'm probably a Democrat, even though I claim to be a Republican. Piers wants the affectation of a centrist, but the overwhelming majority of his public professions, be they on Piers Morgan Uncensored, his columns for the New York Post, his appearances on Fox News, his Twitter appearances, they are just overwhelmingly right-coded and Trump and MAGA coded. He criticizes Democrats far more than he criticizes Republicans. He criticizes or praises Trump far more than he praises the opposition. In fact, in point of deed, in point of action, Piers Morgan is a right-wing commentator, and if he doesn't want to be referred to as such, then he needs to balance it more. You need to bash Trump more. You need to bash Republicans more. You need to actually balance it out to reflect a true centrist proposition. If you don't, then it's perfectly fair for people to call you out for your biases because they are a matter of public record. It would be like me saying, oh, ignore everything that I say on my channel. I'm actually pro-Trump. Now imagine if I, Josiah at Pondering Politics, tried to tell you that I'm pro-Trump. And you said, well, your coverage is overwhelmingly critical of Trump. And I would say, no, that doesn't matter. But I identify as pro-Trump. You have to take me at face value. You'd say, no, that's bullshit. And that's what Piers Morgan is trying to do here. And Mike Nellis isn't letting him get away with it. Love it.
It is. Find it. Find where a major member of the Democratic Party.
Kamala Harris called him a fascist.
Okay. Yeah. That's not the same as calling him Hitler.
Well, listen, there have been gazillions of liberals who've called him Hitler. But look, let's move on.
He can't, and again, that was a masterful performance by Mike Nellis. Piers Morgan doesn't have an example of a prominent Democrat referring to Trump as Hitler. Maybe they're out there, but Piers Morgan wasn't prepared to substantiate that particular claim. He just insisted you take it at face value. Watch him disintegrate. Oh, there's zillions out there. Okay, Piers, can you offer me one or two? No, don't ask me to prove things. Why not? Super pathetic stuff. We'll finish this clip and then move on to some others.
Move on.
Sure. Yeah, you can find anybody commenting in a dumb news article at the bottom, highlight it, and say that everybody's calling him Hitler. But come on. That'd be like me saying that
Mike, you can't just call me a right-wing commentator because I'm not. If you watch my show regularly, you'd know I'm not a right-wing. What I am is...
We do watch your show, and that's why we call you a right-wing commentator. Again, you overwhelmingly praise Trump, a right-wing Republican. You overwhelmingly praise his Republican supporters. Again, that's right-wing. You are overwhelmingly critical of the Democrats. Your assurances that you are not right-wing are empty when confronted with the shit you say on a regular basis. If we forensically audit your praise versus your criticism, it overwhelmingly skews in favor of the right. That makes you a right-wing commentator. If you don't like that, if that triggers you, as it so often does, then I'm sorry, you have to start praising Democrats more and bashing Republicans more. You have to balance it. I'm not saying that you must do that. You are free to be a right-wing commentator. But what you're not free to do is expect people to not accept your claims of being centrist when you actually don't back it up. A true centrist will bash Trump and then bash the opposition. They will go back and forth. Piers doesn't do that. He is overwhelmingly pro-Trump, pro-MAGA, pro-Republican. Love it.
Including ensuring that, yes, the focus has to be getting those inflation numbers down. That I'm so glad the Democrats just woke up and said, yes, Let's try to do this.
Yeah. Trey, let me bring you
Can I
in.
jump in on that for a second, Piers?
Yeah, very quickly, yeah.
To respond? Yeah, it's what's amazing to me is that after the last couple of years where Republicans have been saying how easy it's going to be to get inflation down, that all of a sudden the minute that they control Congress and Donald Trump's in the White House, it's a hard thing. We can't get it down. It's terrible. We can't do it. Like this is insane to me. Like Donald Trump repeatedly said on day one, grocery prices were going to go down, and they're not. And you want to say I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, but at the end of the day,
I'm sorry. Have you seen the oil prices? Gas prices are down.
It should be about helping them retire with dignity and get a good paying job and be able to start a family. And right now, Donald Trump isn't doing that. It's a lot of circus politics. And look,
you're just Mike. I'm so sorry. You're wrong on this.
All right. You know what?
Again, I love how ruthless he is on this. It's so good. It's what I've been saying. It's like, wait a minute. You all, when you all were out of power, said that it would be easy. All Biden has to do is just pull a lever, snap his fingers, and gas and grocery prices plummet. It's that effortless. And then when you all have the levers of power and the responsibility of governance sits squarely on you, because you have the White House, you have the House, you have the Senate, you also have a supermajority on the Supreme Court, then you have Donald Trump and his surrogates like Mercedes Schlapp there going, well, you know, it takes time and I really can't guarantee. Well, no, you made guarantees. You made guarantees. You made day one guarantees when you were on the campaign trail lying to try to get people's votes. Now that you don't have to run for election, then and the realities of governance hits you, it's like, oh my God, it's actually complicated to do this shit. Of course, we haven't seen much effort by the Trump administration to tackling these issues in the first place because their priorities are elsewhere, like pardoning January 6th defendants and triggering unnecessary trade wars with our top three, trading partners. But again, I just love how relentless Mike Nellis is on this. He's really impressing the shit out of me when it comes to this. This is a masterful first-time appearance.
Still support trans athletes in women's sport, do you?
Well, I actually want to say that I agree with Sage about something real quick, which was the election was not an endorsement of Donald Trump, but a referendum on the Democrats. And you ask why Trump's approval rating and his likability are a little bit higher now than it was 8 years ago when he first took over. Is the difference between taking over from a popular incumbent president, Barack Obama, and an unpopular incumbent in Joe Biden. I think what the Democratic Party does need to realize is the way we're talking about certain issues, the way we're advocating for certain issues is, I think, off step. Like we're off base with the American people and what they want for border security. We're off.
So Nellis, what's interesting about this is, and again, I think it's fair, a lot of people are saying, oh, are the Democrats being introspective about their defeat? I hope so. They should be. We were defeated. And we should engage in some navel gazing going, where the hell did we get it wrong? How did we go wrong? But every party that loses should do that. And the Republicans didn't do that after their defeat in 2018, after the defeat in 2020, after the defeat in 2021, after the defeat in 2022, after the defeats in off-year elections in 2023. They just doubled down on the unhinged shit that propelled them to power in 2016, and they got lucky in 2024. After one defeat after another, the stars aligned, and there was a huge anti-incumbency surge, and certainly the Democrats didn't play their cards to the best of their ability. President Biden should not have run for re-election. He should have announced after the midterms that he was not seeking re-election. And he could have endorsed Vice President Harris if he wanted to, but still called for an open primary, which would have given the party 2 years to do just that. There's no question, obviously, messaging issues as we talk and complain about here. But I like the fact that he's not only honest about that, but he kind of keeps going back to that, conservatives hanging their hats on Trump's relatively high, for him, approval rating is actually a product of a honeymoon period. And if he doesn't follow through on it, he's screwed. We're going to play another clip.
At crunching numbers. What's wrong with him crunching numbers?
Can I jump in here? Because I think we're actually missing the point here. Like, I don't really care whether he's 18, 15, or 45. The government is incredibly wasteful, spends money on a ton of stupid shit that they shouldn't be doing. My problem here is the transparency in the process, right? We have an unelected South African billionaire that Donald Trump has given the keys to the castle. Trump doesn't know what's going on. Hell, yesterday on Twitter, Elon Musk got asked a question by a reporter about cutting NIH funding for cancer research, and Elon Musk had no idea what they were talking about. So my problem is you've got a guy who has a record of paying young people to do his work for him. Elon Musk literally was paying kids to play video games as him so he could seem cool to the gamer community. Now he's paying a bunch of kids to go cut government spending, and he doesn't know what they're cutting. And so the lack of transparency is the issue. I think everybody on this call agrees.
And again, great points by Mike Nellis here, because it's true. I mean, the fact of the matter is, as actually Piers himself has conceded reluctantly a few times, that if the shoe were on the other foot and it were a Democratic administration and it had been Mark Cuban, George Soros, or Mark Zuckerberg when he was in his liberal phase, conservatives would be rightly freaking out about such intrusion by an unelected billionaire into the innermost workings of the United States government with such a lack of accountability. And we're principled in this respect. No billionaire, liberal or conservative, should have this amount of access into the workings of government under Democratic administrations or Republican administrations. But right now, MAGA Republicans are perfectly content to violate the standards they'd impose on everybody else because it works for them. And it's not about standards. It's simply about power and specific outcomes. One last clip of Mike Nellis dropping the hammer. And I think this was on Mercedes Schlapp in particular. Good stuff.
Hang on for
Okay.
just a second. Before we move on, can I jump? Hold on. Before we move on, can I jump in for a second? Because yes,
Why,
there's
Mike,
a ton of
you've
ways.
talked so much, I don't even know. Go. Yes.
Well, I think we've had about equal time, Mercedes, but we could tally it up later. But look, there's a ton of wasteful government spending, but what I'm a little bit sick and tired of is Republicans who are just making shit up about what the government's spending money on. Like, how many times have I heard Elon Musk and Donald Trump say that the federal government spent $500 million on condoms in Gaza? Like, let's talk about USAID. They took down the publicly available budget for USAID and then just started making shit up. So I'm all for cutting government spending, but it shouldn't be happening behind.
It's there. It's all documented. It's all transparent, and you all hit it.
No, it was transparent until it was taken off of the website, Mercedes. Like, you guys took it down, and then now you're making shit up.
Oh,
I love it. Great stuff, man. Listen, never heard of that guy before. I think he should be on more regularly, along with like my friends Wajah Ali and Luke Beasley. They do an incredibly impressive job. That was a masterclass performance, shutting down the bullshit and palpably triggering Piers Morgan over the fact, and it is a fact, that Piers Morgan is a right-wing commentator. And if Piers Morgan doesn't like that, then Piers Morgan should actually make an effort to balance out his coverage, criticize the Trump administration more, praise the Democrats more, and then you will find that so-called centrist balance that you claim to have, but obviously don't. Otherwise, you're perfectly free to be a right-wing commentator, but you shouldn't be upset when people call you out for being exactly what you are. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.